Welcome to the Turing Test, your daily deep dives podcast. Today we're really diving into the GPU wars, the epic showdown between Nvidia's Blackwell and AMD's Instinct MI300, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We're talking about some serious silicon with LEDs flashing and regulators chiming in too, right?
Right, we've got Nvidia's Blackwell B200 boasting 1.4 exaflops of AI power and 30 terabytes of pooled memory in just one rack. And that was all flashed at GTC 2025.
That's insane, honestly. And I mean, those numbers, 1.4 exaflops, 30 terabytes, are like, wow, orders of magnitude beyond what we thought possible.
Exactly. And get this, Nvidia's claim is that compared to their previous Hopper chip, Blackwell has a 25x better energy cost per token. That's the kind of leap that just changes the game.
Yeah, and then every major cloud, AWS, Azure, Google, they've all pre-ordered pallets of these chips. It's like an ecosystem gravity thing that you just can't fake.
Totally. But AMD isn't sitting back. With the Instinct MI300X, they're coming in strong with 192 GB of HBM3 memory and a whopping 5.3 TBS of bandwidth.
Right. Yeah, and that massive memory means a single GPU can actually host something like Llama 2 70B without any sharding, so you get fewer nodes and lower latency. It's like having a powerhouse that handles everything in one go.
Exactly. It's like Nvidia is the speed champion, while AMD flexes its capacity muscles. Different gyms, same sport, if you know what I mean.
For sure, but let's get into the nitty-gritty. Nvidia still leads on raw silicon, right? The Blackwell, with its peak throughput and NVLink scaling, is ahead in that department.
Right, though AMD's MI300X brings a unique twist with its memory punch. For workloads like retrieval augmented generation, token cache is king, and that's where AMD shines.
Yep, interesting balance there. So would you say software support tips the scale more than brute teraflops?
Absolutely. NVIDIA's ecosystem, CUDA, Triton, TensorRT, is that walled garden almost every developer lives in. It's like having a pre-built playground where everything clicks.
Right, whereas AMD's ROCm just hit 6.0 with Windows support and tighter PyTorch integration. But despite that, GitHub repos still mention CUDA 5 times more often than ROCm, correct?
Correct. That network effect is hard to beat. Although I might gently challenge that point. Network effects are powerful, but they aren't immune to innovation. Still, CUDA has, the momentum.
True, but open source fans like Meta seem to keep nudging AMD because they resist the lock-in of a single ecosystem. Remember Meta's Llama 3.1 debut on the MI300X? That was a real statement.
Absolutely. That's a great example. That move showcased AMD's potential for winning the hearts of the open source community while offering a compelling hardware advantage in certain areas.
So, while Nvidia dominates overall, with 92% of the discrete GPU market according to John Peddy Research, AMD is carving out a niche in data centers due to its capacity and memory benefits, right?
Right, exactly. And then there's the whole competitive dynamic with challengers like Google's TPU v6, Amazon's Trainium 2, and Cerebras wafer-scale monsters. They're all trying to chip in on this party.
Yeah, and Wall Street is predicting that custom accelerators might grab around 15% of the AI silicon pie by 2030, which is a game changer for the duopoly we see today.
Right. The duopoly of Nvidia and AMD is strong, but these upstarts could nibble at the edges. Think specialized tasks or edge inference workloads.
Absolutely. And then we have the geopolitical layer. Export controls and national security are really reshaping this fight, aren't they?
They sure are. Since April 2024, US government licenses are required for chips above a certain threshold, which has had some quirky effects, like Nvidia's H20 getting clipped.
Right. And AMD wasn't off the hook either. They had that $800 million inventory charge in April 2025, as reported by TechCrunch. That really shows how policy is influencing market dynamics.
Exactly. And there's an unintended twist. China's more threads, and MetaX filing billion-dollar IPOs recently, betting on domestic GPU demand. So, these guardrails might actually encourage new competitors, even if they're lagging on specs.
I totally see that. But national security hawks think it's a fair trade-off, while open source advocates worry it balkanizes AI progress.
Right. It's a classic double-edged sword situation, balancing sovereign interests and open innovation.
And let's not forget why everyday listeners should care about all this tech race. The repercussions extend beyond data centers. They ripple out to training expensive AI models, energy consumption, and even the cost of consumer GPUs.
Totally. Think about it. Training a GPT-class model can run into 8-figure expenses, so a cheaper, denser chip could, potentially slash those costs and democratize access to AI research.
And energy consumption too. Data centers are like massive energy guzzlers. Nvidia's Blackwell touts 25x improvements in efficiency, and AMD banks on its massive HBM to cut I/O overhead.
Yeah, and then there's the sovereignty angle. Nations are really anxious about whether their AI language models depend on US chips or can be run in-house. That's a huge policy debate.
Absolutely. And then there's fun side effect, gamers. Ultimately, breakthroughs in data center silicon eventually trickle down to consumer cards, so that ray-traced dragons and all that cool stuff become more accessible.
Right, it's kind of like how high-end tech innovations at the top eventually become the norm down at the grassroots level.
Yeah. Now let's jump into rapid-fire predictions. Where do you see Nvidia and AMD heading in the near future?
Well, based on current momentum, Nvidia looks poised to stay on top through 2026, thanks to CUDA and Blackwell's head start.
Right. And AMD could grab double-digit data center market share if the MI300X refresh lands on time and ROCm reaches parity, correct?
Exactly. And don't sleep on the custom accelerator space. Cloud providers are quietly building chips tailored for specific workloads, like recommendation engines.
Yeah, totally. Agreed. And regarding export controls, I see it as a sort of ongoing cat-and-mouse game. New rules, new workarounds, rinse and repeat.
Absolutely, it's a multi-front battle. We're looking at not just raw performance, but ecosystems, policy maneuvering, and even public perception. It's far more than just a specs race.
Right on. And that's why, today, the GPU wars are as much about technology as they are about strategy, economics, and, well, culture. Our take? Whether you're fueled by raw power or high capacity, this battle will shape the future of everything from AI to gaming.
Exactly. As we sign off, remember, this isn't just a contest of chips. It's a revolution that will affect your chatbot, your self-driving taxi, and even those epic gaming moments. Catch our next deep dive on synthetic data. Same feed, same energy.
Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts, both good and boldly challenging, in the comments.